a girl who's slept with 30 dudes first date, then you as the relationship guy come along and then she wants to make you wait 3 months. Kind of ridiculous. Making the guy who you like wait for sex, but the guy who you don't see any long-term potential, the Chad, the really good-looking guy, you sleeping with him really quick. I have 2 scenarios I'd like to paint, and I want your guys' feedback on this. So, thoughts on this scenario. You've been in a situation, you've been in a situationship with a guy for 6 months. You really like him, you want him to commit to you, but he says he likes to take things slow. Somehow you find out that the last 3 girls he had a committed relationship with, he initiated the commitment conversation after only 3 weeks of dating. How does that make you feel?
Well, if he got through 3 relationships, like if 3 of them didn't work, maybe he does need to slow down. You know, like why 3 weeks in you're talking about commitment? I don't think 3 weeks is even enough time to know if you want to be committed to a person.
I actually don't think that 3 weeks, depending on how many times you've hung out with someone, is all that long.
It's exactly. So it's like she's finding out, he had this conversation 3 weeks after with these girls. You shouldn't feel the type of way. You should be lucky he's not having that conversation with you. I would be scared if a guy was talking about committing to me after 3 weeks. Barely know me. So it's like maybe he learned his lesson. It was like, all right, good. At least you're not trying to commit in the first month. Let's take it slow. But 6 months, I think you need to know what you want by 6 months at least.
I think most women would feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you think 3 weeks is too soon to have the commitment talk, fine. The point is that in all his past relationships, he initiated the commitment conversation. If you want to change the timeline to 2 months so it's more plausible, that's fine. But he hasn't done it with you.
If a guy wants to date you, you'll know that. Like, isn't that, well, that's what I've been learning from the boys. They'll know. And so when a guy usually says, I want to take it slow or whatever, usually that's like a red flag sign. Like usually
6 months.
Or whatever. Usually they know right off the bat after first or second date if you're, obviously they'll get to know you more, but.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Let me give you another analogy to try to paint
Correct.
this. Okay, all right. Don't shoot the messenger here. Making a man wait while you smashed the hot dude that you knew you weren't going to commit to, just hooking up with a bunch of dudes. So making the man wait while you smashed Chad after a few beers on a slow Tuesday would be like me going to McDonald's and while everyone else is eating there paid $1 for that cheeseburger, the clerks look at me and says, it's $1,000 for you, sir.
Means you're special.
By the way, this is an analogy. I'm not trying
You're
to
calling women
No,
cheeseburgers.
I tried to say the same thing earlier. Like, that's exactly my point. It's like you guys, when you say this kind of stuff, it's like, hey, I don't want to commit to you. You're just a hot guy I'm on a date with, so I'm going to have sex with you immediately. And then you meet some other guy who's a gentleman to you. You're like, wow, I see long-term potential. I'm going to make him wait. If those 2 dudes ever meet, if there was a place where men like that ever shared stories, like the manosphere, then they're not going to allow that behavior. They're going to be like, wait, she didn't make you wait. She let you fuck on the first date, but she's making me wait. For you guys, you think, no. You're a relationship guy. You're special. That's not how he feels, though. He doesn't feel special because you had sex with the other guy on the first date. That's why.
Didn't you say you can't tell people how they feel?
Wait,
what's that?
Didn't you say you can't tell me how to feel?
No, I'm going to tell you how to feel. I'm telling you how the guy feels.
Exactly. How are you gonna say he feels that way? How do you know that?
A guy?
Well, guys have to put in work to
Are you
have
serious?
sex.
Like, that's all they sit there and comment about this all whole time. You really think guys don't feel that way? You really think a guy who's trying to be in a relationship with you is not going to be bothered by the fact that you let a bunch of other dudes fuck on the first date while you made him wait a month? You really think that?
I mean, why are you concerned about guys?
I'm not concerned about.
I'm just saying, like, why would the guy be concerned about guys?
Because body count matters.
Because
to
it does.
men.
It matters to them.
Really? Because I feel like what matters is those test results. Because you can have a body count of 3 and have the most deadly
No, that's not what.
in the world.
That's not what. There's literally studies from. There's literally studies that show, like, as women have more sexual partners before marriage, the likelihood of them being happy in a marriage decreases. But it's not.
Absolutely.
But it's not the same thing that happens for men.
Yeah.
It does. It's not the same thing for men.
Absolutely. But when you.
So it does matter. It would matter to me if you let a bunch of dudes smash on the first date,
for sure,
and you made me wait, bro.
A bunch. If you have a roster,
hold on. And you better forget if we ever bump into each other, and then I found out that you didn't make him wait, and you made me wait.
You're salty that I let a guy smash, and like what? Like I don't know. If you have a roster of guys you let smash on the first date, yeah, I'd be a little salty that like I wasn't on that roster. You should just let me smash too. But but it's like if it's like okay, I ran into this one guy that you let smash on the first date. And I'm the one guy that you didn't let smash on the one day. Are you really going to be salty about that?
I think
I'm telling you a lot of guys would,
Can I
yes.
say something?
Unequivocally, most men would, yes, absolutely.
Serious?
It's not meant to be inflammatory at all, but this is what I was talking about when I say like the chasm between men and women. Like, he's trying to tell you that like men feel a certain type of way, and you're trying to say like, well, why? That doesn't make sense. It's like, well, when we talk to men, we want them to understand how we feel in certain situations. Like, we need to open our ears, you know what I mean, and like listen to what they're saying.
I was just speaking from my experience. Like, I
wasn't trying to like come at you or
no,
anything
absolutely,
like that.
I understand. I've been in relationships. One, I'm not gonna lie, one of my first long-term relationships was, well, not my first, my last long-term relationship. I did sleep with him on the first date, but I didn't see a relationship with him. We still were friends, and it was like, you know what, maybe we could pursue this after, you know, but it just goes from there. I guess like it all goes off of vibe. Like, I can date a guy, like I said, for 4 months and then sleep with him, and it's the worst decision of my life, or I can sleep with him the first date and it'd be a solid decision, or I can sleep with him first date and not want to pursue you after.
My personal take on this, look, if you previously slept with, for example, 20 guys first night, then I come along and then you're going to make me wait. You want to make me wait 4 dates. Maybe you had a change of heart and that's just your standard moving forward. Again, it's your body. It's 100% your choice. I wouldn't try to like pressure a girl into it. However, we men are within our right to also view that and be like, what the fuck?
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
But how many
It's
guys
your standards.
sleep
It's-
on the
it's
first
one
night?
thing if
you
it
know,
was-
like the roles are reversed with guys. Like guys it's so socially acceptable for guys to do whatever they want, especially in a sexual manner. Like, and it also goes back to culture, and especially like most cultures are okay with guys doing whatever. Like literally, like I'm personally Latina, and in Latina culture, guys can do whatever they want.
That's true.
And they are not scrutinized by their mothers, grandmothers, nobody. And it's like it goes back to decades and centuries of just breeding masculinity, and in some cases, a lot of cases, toxic masculinity. But it's just like as soon as a woman does something that's
No such
like
thing.
no such thing as toxic
no
masculinity.
such thing.
There are toxic people, and those toxic people can be masculine or feminine. But when the man pulls you out of your burning building, you don't give a how masculine he is. There's no two masculine men. Masculinity is masculinity. Femininity is femininity.
There is such thing as
And
toxic masculinity.
There is no
though.
the toxic,
Disavow.
So toxic masculinity was a term created in the 1990s when psychologists were trying to study violent offenders in prison. When guys would step on each other's toes and then they would start stabbing each other, it was just a term that was used by those psychiatrists to determine a type of behavior where men would resort to extreme levels of violence for no reason. And then somehow mainstream psychology got a hold of it and became this pop term. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is just masculinity, and then there are some people who are toxic. That has nothing to do with each other. I can show you tons of people who are extremely toxic online, and some of them are masculine and some are feminine, but the two are mutually exclusive. The idea of toxic masculinity is to shame men for doing things that other people don't agree with. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Alrighty.
Word.
So
Hold on.
that's
Okay,
that's
okay.
fine.
Let
Maybe
me-
the word might not be using the right word, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's a man's world at the end of the day. It really is. And men are socially acceptable. It's acceptable for a man to like have sex with so many women, but as soon as it's a woman doing that, it's like crazy.
Well,
And
It does go back to biology.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
because
it
the
really
reason
does.
why that it's socially acceptable and men get so much praise for it is because it's a lot harder for a man to get laid than a woman. So when a woman can 10 out of 10 most of the time a woman will get laid 10 out of 10. A man is not going to be 10 out of 10. So a man has to work a lot harder to have sex.
I don't give.
Yeah, they
if,
say-
you know,
they
if they
say
have to work a
what?
lot harder. It is what it is. Like, it is what
Yeah,
it is.
it
It's
is.
okay for a man to have sex with whoever, have one night stand.
We were talking about like a girl who's slept with 30 dudes first date, then you as the relationship guy come along and then she wants to make you wait 3 months. Kind of ridiculous. I remember, and I think this was must have been 6 months ago, I was on a date with a girl. She was in her 30s. You know, she's probably, I didn't ask her body count, but let's just, you know, probably 10, 20, 30 plus, whatever. She had told me, we were talking about past relationships. She said that the last guy she dated, she'd been dating him for 1 or 2 years. She was like, oh yeah, actually the way we met is I was staying at his Airbnb and then like I check in and then like literally the night I move in, like we fucked. I'm like, okay, cool. And then like we were on a date, she was into me and then like we were hanging out, but she was like, oh no, I think I kind of want to like wait, you know.
I think a
don't-
lot of women-
and like, bro, it's like, look, that's your call, but like
It
this
is
your
weird,
last
yeah.
relationship that was a long-term relationship, so it wasn't evidence of like, oh, it's just a one-night stand. And it's like, I'm gonna look at that, I'm gonna be like, I actually no longer want a relationship with a girl. Like
Well, it's
you're
almost
playing a
deceiving.
game because
It's
it's not your
deceiving.
genuine standard. It's just like I either think one of two things. I think like you're playing a game with me. You're using sex as leverage to secure.
A relationship.
No,
Right.
resources, not even a relationship,
well,
just
what
attention
relationship-
and resources.
To see how much
Relationship
the man is
benefits.
willing
Using
to
it as
work.
leverage, or I honestly, the thing that strikes me is you're just not that into me because like
Yeah.
I want that, this is Rolo's thing, genuine burning desire. Shout out Rolo Tomasi by the Rational Male. All your previous relationships, like you had this one standard. Your standard was, okay, I'm gonna wait 4 dates. That's fair. I get that. But you just fucked a guy 2 weeks ago and now you want me to wait 2 months? Like, get the fuck out. Again, it's your call, but
Fuck outta here.
I'm like, okay, she's either not into me or she's like basically playing a game. So then at that point, I've just lost interest.
What game do you think she's playing? Just curious.
She's using sex as leverage because it's not a genuine standard of hers. Because if
Yeah.
2 months ago you fucked a guy immediately, then it's not a genuine standard you have when it comes to your
It's just
sexuality.
for you.
Would you think differently if like she had like lived one way in her past, but like had it created a new standard for herself, like going forward?
That's
If-
not what's going on in the situation, though. 'cause
But
he's
that's
talking
yeah,
about
that's
how
not
2
what's
weeks
going
ago.
on.
Radical
Like
question.
if like for the past 5 years, like that's been her new standard. She had some fucking wild times in college. Even then, that's not ideal. Because as me and Mike were saying, and a couple other people were saying, like obviously body count matters, but strictly from a behavioral sense, not great. But it's more understandable if like she's changed. But
Right.
By the
So
way,
you're saying-
everything we're saying it comes down to: do you find someone who accepts those things? You're right. If you say, "Hey, the guy doesn't care that I had multiple bodies," that's fine. I'm just telling you, most high status men are not going to behave that way.
I
They're
know
not.
that for a
It's
fact.
just a function of statistics. That's it.